Okay, welcome everybody to the Society for Risk Analysis webinar series. We do these every month and we have them on a wide variety of subjects and topics. And this month we're focusing on the SRA, on the specialty groups. And in a few minutes, in a minute or two here, we'll start with running down the specialty groups that are represented today in alphabetical order. We're a little bit free form today, so there might be some that have joined as panelists here that I won't know about until we get to their name. So I'll ask you to bear with us a little bit on that. But I also want to mention a couple of other things. The webinars, all of our past webinars, and we have 20 or 30 of them at this point, are available on the SRA webpage. They're available for anybody who is an SRA member in their entirety. This one's being recorded and will be posted as well. So take a look at some of them. No matter what your interests are, there'll be something up there for you. There's a lot of very good technical ones. Also on SRA.org, a great thing to check out right now is we have our World Congress coming up in May in Cape Town. So take a look at that. It's going to be a fantastic meeting, and there's still time to register if you are interested. Last point I'll make before doing introductions here is we are, if you have questions over the course of the webinar, use your GoToWebinar control panel and type in your question, and I'll grab them and try to put down who the question is for as well, and I'll direct the question to the presenter at the end of the webinar. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and start with the first. I don't think we have anybody from Advanced Materials and Technologies. Correct me, jump in if I'm wrong, panelists. But we'll start with Applied Risk Management, and Willy Rode is going to kick us off. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. So my name is Willy Rode, and I'm the chair of the Applied Risk Management Specialty Group. And applied risk management is related to application of concepts and ideas. And we aim to provide a link between the SRA community and practitioners working within the risk analysis field. And we believe that practical issues are important since they influence on decisions in the society. So they are important externally, but they should also be seen as important internally within our community, since the ultimate test of research is related to application. So on this figure, we have included all the specialty groups. And some of them focus on general concepts and tools that may be used in any application area, while others, they address research within one particular domain or application area. And we have put our specialty group in the middle, and that is to highlight that we can be a bridge between all the specialty groups when it comes to application. So I hope that each of you will find specialty groups that you are in. But if you are also interested in application, I think you should also consider to join our group. One of the things we are developing is a battery of tests that can be used to evaluate quality of risk analysis. And these questions here are examples of the tests. And we plan to submit this as a document to the board and ask for comments from our members. And so far, we have had our focus on general analysis quality tests, but we aim to include domain-specific tests as well. And what we will do is to ask each of the other specialty groups to help us to provide more specific or domain-specific tests. So in that way, this analysis quality test document can provide a link from concepts into practical implementation for all the specialty groups. I assume many of you are considering to submit an abstract for the annual meeting in December. And if your idea is related to practical implementation, I think you should also submit it to, I think you should submit it to the applied risk management sessions. At least consider our group as well, not only the subject area that you are working within, if it's related to application. Then there will be on applied risk in September. It will be September 4th. So you may want to reserve that date in your calendar if you are interested in applied risk. So finally, for my 3 minutes, this is the team running the Applied Risk Management Specialty Group. You may email me if you have comments or questions, but also, as Brett said, that we will maybe have the opportunity to answer questions along the road through this webinar. So yeah, thank you very much, and then you will take over, Brett.
Yes, okay, so thank you, that was great. So I think our next one is Zach Collier, and he'll be doing decision analysis and risk. And Zach, I think you do not have a screen share presentation, correct?
Right, I have nothing to show. Can you hear me okay?
You sound good.
You're too kind. Yeah, well, so I'm here representing the decision analysis and risk specialty group, filling in for the current president, Ben Trump, who couldn't make it today, but I'm the president-elect, so I guess that's my job as president-elect, to fill in for the president. Yeah, decision analysis group is about what it sounds like it's about. It's about the use of decision analysis for risk problems, especially thinking about advancing the theory and methodology and case studies behind the intersection between risk and decision making. As we all know about risk management, it involves some sort of decision aspect about what sort of courses of action you're going to take to mitigate risks, and so there's certainly a strong decision component that's really complementary to all of the activities that go on in the Society for Risk Analysis. The great thing about the decision analysis group is that it really applies across all of the other specialty groups, and so applications that people talk about in the decision analysis group cover environment and defense and chemicals and all the things that you hear about in the meetings every year sort of can fit within the decision analysis group. So there's a real good breadth of topics there. Some things that the decision group has been involved in the past. We've held a few workshops or helped co-sponsor some meetings in the past. So just a couple of examples. There was a chemical alternatives analysis workshop in late 2017 that our past president, Christian Boudry, helped organize through Compass and UCLA. And so they talked about decision analysis tools for chemical risk analysis. And then there's a meeting in Venice, Italy a while back on with the European Union, their nano safety cluster, looking at decision analysis tools there. So just a couple of examples of how decision analysis sort of gets implemented in the risk world. We also have a student merit award every year where we pick a paper that or a presentation that is a good application of decision analysis within the specialty group, and we give a little award there. And then we're also involved in a best paper award through the journal Environment Systems and Decisions, which picks an abstract or two and invites some papers to submit to the journal, and we give an award through that too. So lots of opportunities to get involved, and if you're interested in decision analysis or decision making generally, we invite you to come to the specialty group meetings and sit in on some of the symposia, I suppose, that we have at the annual meetings that are decision analysis focused. So a lot of good things going on, and we invite everybody to come check it out. And that's all I have on decision analysis.
Great, thank you, Zach. It looks like we do have someone from Dose Response. Ingrid, do you want to present? And
I have I do have slides. How are you?
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm going to give you control here. It should prompt you to share your screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. So my name is Ingrid Drew, and I am the current chair of the Dose Response Specialty Group. And just to give you a very brief overview of our group, it was founded some years ago, and it's open to anyone interested in biological and mathematical relationships. So if you are a biology math aficionado, we welcome you. We are interested in basically how relationships between exposure to chemicals, physical or microbial hazards, or even pharmaceuticals affect human populations or environmental species. And our membership spans a wide area of expertise, from individuals that are toxicologists or have toxicology backgrounds, our medical microbiologists, pharmacologists, biostatisticians, mathematicians, all kinds of different individuals. The thing we all have in common, though, is that we really care about the shapes of curves, and we have a lot of lively and passionate conversations around the shape of a curve. And the reasons why shapes matter is because they tell us a lot about the biological response or environmental response that could be happening behind these different curves. So these are just some examples of curves that we talk about and have, again, lively discussions about in our group. There's other things that we're interested in as well. We're interested in how population distributions that could tell us a little bit about susceptible populations and the ranges of their susceptibility. We're also interested in probabilistic approaches in order to be able to predict or project responses in unknown populations in order to help assist in regulatory areas and analyses. And we're also interested in integrating the use of mechanistic information, animal information, and human data to aid in the estimation of risks at low doses. Many times we have information at higher doses of exposure, but not at low doses. So the integration of all of this information can help us to better inform low doses and the curves that we are so passionate about. Our members, again, play in all different types of playgrounds. So there's all kinds of different interests in our group. My particular interest is incorporating information on modes of action and repair into dose response assessments, but also selecting surrogate agents in the absence of quantitative data for agents of concern. There are a number of chemicals in the environment that we don't have enough information on, but if we can find a surrogate chemical or agent that has similar physiochemical properties, then maybe these can help function as agents in order to better inform those chemicals that we don't have enough information about. So if I've whet your appetite, and if you're interested in joining, it's pretty easy. You just go to the SRA website /DRSG and then click on membership, how to join. We are also media savvy, so social media savvy. So if you want to join our LinkedIn group, you can also go to the same website and click on the join our group button and join our LinkedIn group. If you want to join our mailing list, you can also just send your name and affiliation to drsg-l-subscribe@indiana.edu, and our listserv administrator will be happy to add you to our mailing list. We also do have a student award for the student interested. We give a cash award, and so if you have a student that is doing a project on dose response modeling or of dose response interest, then we'll be happy to look at their abstract.
That's great. Thank you. Let's see. I'm going to switch back to the main screen. So next is ecological risk assessment, and Amanda Bailey, you are up.
Okay, thank you. So I actually did just receive some slides, so I can share those if you can tell me how to do that.
Sure, no problem. So I'm going to make you presenter, and your screen should prompt you, or you should get a prompt on your screen to share your screen.
Great.
See if it works. Oh, yeah.
Can you see it?
Yep. If you go into slide mode, let's see how that works, or slideshow mode.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you very much. Sorry for the confusion. So I'm Amanda Bailey, and I am a co-chair of the Ecological Risk Assessment Specialty Group along with Diane Henschel. So ecological risk is focused on ecological risk, but I want to talk a little bit about what that means. It really means a lot of different things. So the traditional definition, at least from my perspective, is looking at risks to ecological receptors in the environment from sources such as chemicals, as well as things like physical and biological stressors, or habitat reduction or degradation, and a number of other things. But we are also interested in topics such as ecosystem services and management. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that means as well. So ecosystem services is what it sounds like, basically services provided by the environment or ecosystems, both to people and to the environment. So things could be things like, food and water we receive from ecosystems, recreational opportunities, things like cultural practices or customs that might be tied to a particular ecosystem. And so we're interested in both that concept and potential risks to ecosystem services from things such as maybe climate change, for example, as well as incorporating the concept of ecosystem services when looking at environmental management. So as an example of that, we had a great student presentation that we presented with an award at the annual meeting last year that focused on incorporating ecological as well as economic and social resilience to climate change into city planning and adaptive management. We also had a couple presentations looking at
please check the phone number in your invitation and dial again.
Hello?
Sorry, we had one of the panelists came off mute. I fixed it. Okay. We're good.
I wanted to make sure it wasn't talking to me. So we had a couple of presentations looking at incorporating ecosystem services provided by an elephant population into the management of a national park in Africa. So those are just some examples of what types of things we've looked at with the ecosystem services focus. Another topic that we've focused on quite a bit in the last couple of years is synthetic biology and gene drives, which is really a rapidly developing field with a lot of different aspects to still be evaluated, including potential risks to the environment and a lot of potential benefits. And so we've had a couple of dedicated sessions covering really a pretty broad range of issues associated with the use of gene drives, and we've done those in cooperation with a couple of other specialty groups as well, because a lot of our interests really do overlap with other groups, and we certainly invite collaboration with other groups to highlight some of those topics. So we're not just focused on, I guess, what I think of as the more traditional definition of ecological risk. There's a lot that we cover. Our presence at SRA is relatively small compared to some of the other specialty groups, and we'd like to change that by inviting more people to submit presentations under our group, because we don't typically receive as many submittals. We do have a little bit more availability for platform presentations in our sessions, and we do also, as I mentioned, encourage collaboration with other groups, and we've done some joint sessions over the years. And so hopefully that gave people just a little bit of an idea of what falls under the ecological risk umbrella, and to expand people's understanding of what our group is all about. And we encourage people to submit abstracts for the 2019 annual meeting. And if you have questions or are interested in being added to our email list, you can email me. I put my email on this last slide, and I believe it's on the website as well under our specialty group. So that's all I had.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. I will remind people that you can also type questions into your GoToWebinar control panel questions area. We do have one that we'll ask at the end already, and you can add others. Heba, you're up for engineering and infrastructure. Let me give you control of the screen here, and we should be ready to go. Okay, it should prompt you now. Oh, yep, there you go. Perfect. Thank you.
I was on mute. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yep, we hear you. You sound good.
Okay. So my name is Heba Baroud, and I'm the chair for Engineering Infrastructure Specialty Group. Andrea Stead is the vice chair, and we have one position for both treasurer/secretary, and her name is Elnaz Kabir. What we are interested in are everything related to infrastructure management. So that could include transportation, energy, water systems, the environment. We also have applications related to homeland security and disaster preparedness. And so the last few years, we've had a lot of sessions that focused on resilience engineering. So really the work is quite interdisciplinary. It's anything that is related to infrastructure, risk management, and investment before and after disaster with a wide variety of applications. Some of the activities that we have, our main one is the Student Merit Award. The way we conduct this is that during the submission process for abstracts and for papers and symposia, the students who are submitting abstract have the option to submit an extended abstract. We review those and we select a group of finalists who we contact and request them to put together a very short video on their paper. So usually have 3 to 5 finalists every year. Then we send the links to the videos to all of the members in our specialty groups, and they get to vote on who is the winner. And on our website, we have a list of previous award winners along with their links. So anytime you can go in and check out their video presentation. 2 years ago, we started a new initiative that is also focused on students. We call it the Student Spotlight. Every quarter, we highlight a student. We kind of do a sort of a Q&A that we post on our page. And this helps students gain visibility, especially those who are approaching graduation or who are on the job market. We also, for every issue of risk analysis, we highlight on our website articles that are related to topics that are relevant to infrastructure engineering. So ways for you to get involved. We're always looking for students for our Student Spotlight. So if you are a student who would like to be part of the Spotlight, or if you know someone who should be highlighted, please send me an email. My email is on the website, on our specialty group website. We will probably have an upcoming survey, so we will be seeking your feedback on a few activities that we are thinking about for this year. So be on the lookout for that, and we hope to receive your feedback. We're also looking for nominations for potential webinar speakers. We usually have 1 or 2 every year. So if you would like to give a presentation, or if you know someone who is working on risk analysis topics applied to infrastructure, that would be great. And then, of course, we're welcoming this year, as every year, any proposals for meeting symposia, especially ones that are interdisciplinary across several specialty groups. And finally, we will have probably 1 or 2 positions open for 2020. So before the annual meeting, we conduct our elections, and so we will seek nominations to for position to be part of the executive committee. So yeah, that's what I have
Great, thank you, Eva. Let's see, Chris Green for exposure assessment. Christopher, do you want to share your screen or no?
Yeah, I have one slide to put up. It's really just my contact information, but thought I should.
Okay.
But there's something up there while I'm speaking. So
okay. Well, it should be prompting you now.
Yep. And yeah, for some reason this is still on top the control panel.
There you go. That's good.
Oh.
You can. Oop, you had it.
It just went away.
Yep. No, you're good. You're good. It looks good now.
That's fine. All right. So yeah, like the ecological group that spoke a couple of presenters ago, we're a fairly small specialty group. We are the exposure assessment specialty group, and we exist because exposure and risk are closely linked, and so it's an important aspect of risk assessment. And like many topics in risk assessment, we're a multidisciplinary group. People come from a lot of different fields: toxicology, chemistry, physiology. We have people that hydrology, statistics, people who are in sort of the risk management and decision-making side of things, people who work with GIS, people who are in the environmental monitoring or analytical communities, or people like me who are in public health and do exposure and risk assessment in the public health arena. So some of the aspects of exposure assessment that come up among our members at the annual meeting would be things like modeling of the intake of chemicals, or modeling of toxicokinetics, or modeling of fate and transport of a chemical in the environment. So using models to inform the regulatory process, or as a hypothesis forming tool, or to prioritize research efforts. We also have people who work in the biomonitoring area, like assessment of past and current exposures in a population of interest, looking at connections with levels of a chemical in the environment. For example, monitoring of blood lead levels in the population, or perfluorinated compounds in the human body, or studies of fish tissue. We have an interest in exposure assessment of chemicals in the diet. So that can be a food safety type of thing, or the effects of food preparation on the chemical makeup of the foods that we eat. Also, exposure assessment of consumer products, the numerous products that exist in the world, and the thousands of chemicals, many of which are minimally regulated, that make our products that we use function or preserve them or add to their effectiveness. We have people who are interested in occupational exposures, and there is a separate specialty group for that topic, and we're actually looking at partnering or jointly sponsoring some sessions with them at this year's meeting. We have an interest in exposure factors, like activity patterns, say assessments of human behavior, the tracking of a person's movements and activities throughout the day, time spent in various parts of one's home. All of this is useful for informing modeling of human exposure to chemicals and estimating intakes. Also, speaking of intakes, that's another aspect of exposure factors. People who do research to determine the intake of water and food and air and soil and other things. And that's useful in many ways, including in the identification of sensitive subpopulations that may be at risk. Environmental justice and equity also comes into play in a lot of the work that we do, and that's the question of how to look at risk through the lens of historically disadvantaged people, and also to ensure that our efforts to protect health and safety in the population apply to all people. The regulatory side of things is also a topic with us. For example, the development of standards to manage or to minimize risk, like applying exposure assessment principles to identify demographic groups that are of concern for a chemical that may be present in the environment. We also look at the additivity of effects from chemical mixtures and how best to deal with them, because there are a multitude of chemicals out there that we know, many of them we know very little about. We also look at the additivity of effects from multiple sources and routes. So a chemical may be present both in one's drinking water and in the dust that settles in our homes and in consumer products. So we have to look at how to assess risk from all those different routes. There are also people in our group that have a chemical or class of chemicals of particular interest to them that often cuts across disciplines. For example, PFAS chemicals or algal toxins or microplastics or flame retardants and many others. And then also the work of prioritizing these many chemicals among the large universe of chemicals and making a sort of a risk decision process about how to prioritize your research efforts. So for the upcoming annual meeting, we have some symposia that are kind of in their formative stages. We have one that looks like it might have to do with drinking water guidance and standards and questioning the current default approach and asking what can be done to improve the process of developing guidance for drinking water. Also one on assessment of contaminants of emerging concern and chemical mixtures, how to address that question when you have multiple chemicals, which of course we all do all the time. Also a nascent symposium on exposure modeling, asking what's new in the world of exposure modeling around the world, and how is exposure modeling being used to inform the regulatory process. Typically at the annual meeting, we do give out a student merit award. In the last couple of years, we had one that had to do with the bioaccessibility of arsenic in rice, and another one that was a project involving dosimetry on air particulates along the routes followed of a public bus system. So it was sort of an inhalation exposure project. We like to do at least one webinar during the course of the year in between annual meetings. We haven't figured out a plan for that yet this year. If anyone out there has an interest, maybe something in their group that might maybe cross well or mix well with the exposure assessment group, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll have to just keep you all informed as during the course of this year if we get a webinar or two going. So I think that is really all I have. So let me know if you have any comments or questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. And then our next one is, well, let me make an announcement first. For those of you looking at the list of specialty groups and the clock, we have several specialty groups that aren't represented today, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to have a second webinar to bring them in. We will end on time today, maybe even a little bit early, depending on the questions that come in. So the next one is foundational issues in risk analysis, and Roger Flage is going to do that one. And I believe that you do have a presentation, so I'm going to make you presenter.
Thank you, Brett. Can you see my screen now?
We can. Got the wrong one there. Perfect. Got it.
Yeah. Right. So my name is Roger Flage. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Stavanger in Norway and the current chair of the Foundational Issues in Risk Analysis Specialty Group. This specialty group was founded in 2013, and the objectives of the group are to provide leadership and play an active role in advancing the foundational issues of risk analysis, to facilitate exchange of ideas and knowledge on foundational issues, and to encourage collaborative research in this area, and to exchange on subjects of educational programs relating to foundational issues in risk analysis. So what are foundational issues, or the foundations of risk analysis? I'm not going to read everything here, but the foundations of risk analysis relates to the platform of ideas, methods, assumptions, and goals that the risk analysis field stands on. Issues that are common to many different applications, which is illustrated in this figure, which I borrowed from the past SRA president, Tai Aven, who is also a former chair of this specialty group. This figure shows how the foundational issues specialty group addresses sort of the core common basis for all that is above. And Willy in his presentation touched upon this issue too, how the applied risk management specialty group is in a similar position in that it's addresses issues of applied risk management that cut across different application areas. One of the things that was mentioned in the invitation of the webinar today was interesting applications of research relating to the specialty group. Maybe it's not really applications of the research per se, but I thought I could mention a virtual issue of the Risk Analysis Journal from a few years back that presents 28 contributions from past issues of the journal linked to foundational issues, including, of course, as you can see here, the Kaplan-Garrick paper from the first issue of the journal. Now, in terms of what's been done by the specialty group and what we're currently doing, perhaps some of you are aware of the publications that are shown here that have been developed by the Foundational Issues Specialty Group. It's a glossary of risk-related terms. It's a set of core subjects of risk analysis and a set of fundamental principles of risk analysis. I've included a link to the web page where these documents are published if any of you are interested in having a closer look at those, and I encourage that. We've also arranged several workshops, the last one in Michigan last summer, with discussions on how to further develop the field of risk analysis and SRA. What we aim to achieve in 2019 is to establish a set of examples of prudent or really high quality risk analysis. So there's a small group of us working on developing a good format and some examples and templates, and then we will eventually involve other people in the specialty group in this work. So if you want to get involved in this and or hear about other initiatives, then please send me an email and register as a member of the specialty group when you pay the annual fee, so we can get you on our emailing list and keep you updated. And we also have a student merit award. I can just mention that at the end here. That's all I have on the foundations of risk analysis specialty group.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Roger. And I apologize for Americanizing your name at the beginning there.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I think that we do not have anybody. So panelists, correct me or speak up if I'm wrong. I don't think we have anybody this webinar from microbial risk, from occupational health and safety, from resilience analysis, and from risk and development. We had someone from risk communication, but they had an emergency at work. And so I think, unless I hear otherwise, Yvonne Stevens will be next from Risk Policy and Law.
Hi, thank you, Brett. Hello, everybody. I do not have a presentation, which is ironic because I normally do have a presentation. In fact, my whole life is a PowerPoint presentation. But anyway, I just wanted to keep within the 3-minute time frame, so I'll just spew out a little bit of information about our group. I am the current chair for this year. My co-chair is Shweta Chakraborty. And the Risk Policy and Law group is essentially a group made up of lawyers. Don't cringe, we're nice lawyers, academics, scientists, and related professionals. The group considers health, environmental, and societal risks, real or perceived, and stemming from scientific and technological advancements through the lens of law and public policy. We consider things like, say, the evaluation of management frameworks surrounding a potential technology. Is it a risk? How great of a risk is it? Do we have proper legal or other oversight measures in place? Do we need them? In what circumstances? Are there other ways to manage, mitigate, or eliminate the risk in question? And then we evaluate those avenues. And so we do address a wide range of topics that carry a legal or policy, public policy component with a broad range of experts, given the exceptional rate of advancement in science and technology. We have official board opportunities that open up each year for those interested, and we also really highly value member involvement and feedback, from presentations, suggestions for SRA meetings, the annual meeting coming up this December, and related events, to scholarly collaborations and other specialty group events. In fact, we are in the early stages of planning such an event in Washington, D.C. around the same time as the SRA annual meeting. We're just, like I said, in the early stages of putting that together, but there will be more information to follow on that. And I do want to point out, sort of having listened to the presentations that came before mine, things that both Willie, Amanda, and Chris mentioned, and one thing to realize is the common cross-disciplinary applications among all our groups. And I think a couple of people made the point that we do have common areas, and even though we are separate groups, there is this feeling in our group that we'd love to collaborate with another group on a particular topic coming from just different perspectives. I mentioned the example that I used was management frameworks, regulatory frameworks surrounding technology, but we also work in nanotech, climate change, resilient systems, genetically modified organisms, cybersecurity, AI, and communication risks. And so just wanted to throw that out there. We also have an annual student award that gets presented at the SRA annual meeting. And I also wanted to encourage anybody that's interested in joining our group. Like I said, we invite a host of experts, even though we are law and policy based. There's so much that other individuals that don't have necessarily a law degree can provide to our group. And so I encourage you to just go to the SRA website, and once you're there, you can basically look for the particular specialty group that you'd like to join. And both my name, Yvonne Stevens, and my co-chair, Shweta Chakraborty's names are there. So just click on that if you have any questions. And then the SRA website is very user-friendly in terms of joining the group. So it's kind of self-explanatory. So that is all I have for the Risk Policy and Law Specialty Group, and welcome any questions, and at any time feel free to email me at ystevens@asu.edu. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. We have one more, possibly two more, because I think we have someone that joined that I'm going to try to get them over into the panelist side. But next we have Security and Defense and Cameron.
Great, thank you, Brett. So my name is Cameron McKenzie. I am the current chair of the Security and Defense Specialty Group. In terms of our executive leadership, Kenneth Crowther is our past chair, and Cecil Jore is our vice chair, or she'll be the new chair in 2020. And what we do in the Security and Defense Specialty Group is we primarily focus on problems in risk analysis related to security and defense. So that's some military problems, homeland security problems, resilience, like with some of the other specialty groups, it's becoming a big topic. Another big topic for us is cybersecurity, which is obviously in the news a lot. And at the last annual meeting, we had a poster panel type presentation or poster session focused on cybersecurity. So I imagine that type of topic will continue to grow in the future. As with a lot of the other specialty groups, we're always interested in people submitting their abstracts for presentations or posters at the annual meeting. If you're interested in hosting a session on any particular topic, please reach out to me. You can find my contact information on the website as well. And, you know, I can talk to you about what might make a good session, or if you have an idea for a session and you're looking for some speakers, let me know. I'd happy to help out. We also have a student merit award as like the other specialty groups. And if you are a student, I encourage you to submit to that. Our numbers have actually been pretty low in that area over the past couple of years. So you might have less competition if you submit to our session than to other ones. So that's a little bit of incentive. We're actually trying to make a bigger push and trying to get more students and involved in submitting to that. We have a LinkedIn group. You can also find us LinkedIn. It's called Security, Risk, and Defense Analysis within LinkedIn. and there's a few people that post on there quite a bit. And then the final thing in terms of what we do is we actually have worked together a little bit with the Military Operations Research Society, or MORS, and they have a special group called the National Security Risk Analysis Group. And they host a monthly webinar in which there's a speaker that talks about some sort of risk analysis related to national security, and we help promote that, as well as help sometimes speakers from our group present as in that webinar. So if you are part of our specialty group, you'll receive an email from me on, about once a month. Usually the presentations are always the last Thursday of every month, of a webinar that are usually quite informative and done by a number of good people, both from the academic side as well as from the practice and professional side. So I'll stop there. And again, you can find our contact information on the website, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or suggestions that you might have.
Great. So we're gonna try an experiment here. So I have one of the specialty groups. So this microbial risk analysis specialty group. Amir Mokhtari has joined, but not on the panelist side. So I'm going to try to unmute, and we'll see if we're able to hear. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. So if you can, I can share my screen. That would be great.
Okay. Let's see if we can get that done. It should be prompting you now.
Can you see my screen?
We do.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amir Mokhtari. I'm with FDA Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, and I'm currently the chair of the Microbial Risk Assessment Specialty Group. I have a couple of slides. I'm going to go through them and briefly talk about our specialty group. As far as our scope, we previously known as Biological Stressor Specialty Group, and we focus on public health risks associated with a variety of biological hazards, which typically have common features such as the ability to grow, reproduce, or die, or disperse actively and passively within the environment. Some example hazards that we are looking into include human pathogens transmitted through different routes, including food, water, air, and different organs. Also zoonotic pathogens and biologically produced disease agents, and other examples of hazards that we look into. This is the current executive committee. As I said, I'm the chair. The vice chair is Dr. Jade Mitchell, and the previous chair was Dr. Regis Puyo. And we are in the process of updating our websites. It has improved substantially. I think that one of the complaints that we received during the last year was like the website has been pretty simple for a long time, so people were not using it. So we decided to update the websites. We've done some work, so it's still a work in progress, but it's getting there. We're also active on LinkedIn. We have a microbial risk assessment specialty group on the LinkedIn, and we have been pretty active, posting a lot of information recently and encouraging members to check it more frequently and get the information that we're sharing with the members. Each year, typically, we have multiple sessions at SRA. These are the examples of sessions we had in 2018, and we're hoping for a very productive conference this year. We had a poster platform on analytical frameworks for emerging microbial concerns. We looked into novel approaches and application of microbial risk assessment, including agent-based modeling. And we did a lot of talks on interventions and cost-benefit analysis, and also survival of pathogens. And also, I encourage members to be ready and submit their abstracts for incoming SRA. And last but not least, in order to engage our members, I think we published it yesterday. We are running a survey to kind of engage the members and ask for their feedback, what their vision is as far as the specialty group and what they would like to see and what kind of activities they desire to see from the committee, and then we can organize around those. For example, we're asking members about their priority issues, if they're interested in any sort of training, workshops, or mentoring, and they're effective communication media because we want to make sure that we reach out to members in a most effective way. If they're interested in specific topics that they want to learn more, or for example, exposure assessment, sensitivity analysis, and dose response, and if they're using specific tools for modeling, and if we can provide some sort of training, and what level of participation they're anticipating to have with the specialty group. So we are hoping by engaging the members, we kind of can improve the specialty group and become more productive. That's all I have.
Fantastic, thanks. I'm glad we were able to get you presenting. That's good. So we now have a couple of minutes and a few questions. So if you have a question, please type it into your GoToWebinar control panel question area. The first question I think will be directed to Zach, to you for decision analysis. It says, is civil engineering a subgroup in decision analysis group?
I'm not 100% sure what that means, but there's no subgroups within the decision analysis group, but there's certainly overlap with civil engineering. Like all the other speakers mentioned, there's a lot of cross-disciplinary activity. So all the stuff that you heard about microbial risks and security risks and cybersecurity and all that sort of good stuff, as long as there's a decision analysis component to it, it also can fit within the decision analysis group. So we are happy to welcome any sort of applications of decision analysis into the, if they're civil engineering related to the group. So I guess the answer is yes, civil engineering is certainly within the scope as long as there's a decision component to it.
And I suspect that, so that question was submitted right after you presented. I suspect that Hiba would have a similar response, right?
Yeah, I mean, it may be a more natural fit for engineering to be under civil, but we have a representation from a wide variety of disciplines. But yes, anything that is related to infrastructure, there's a really big component for civil engineering in there, but we also have representation from other groups.
Good. Thank you. The next comment is from John Lathrop, and it's a good one, I think. It says, some of these specialty group slides are great. Could we consider a link on the SRA website that offers a 4-slide summary for each specialty group? That would be a great overview and would encourage people to thoughtfully join the specialty groups most appropriate for them. There is some information on the webpage about the specialty groups, but this might be something, I know that there is a specialty group committee that they might want to take on. Jill staffs that committee, so she's listening to this too. And I suspect that that's a great task for the group to take on. To give a little bit more information. The next one is from Jinrong Chen. It says, are the slides and video available later? Great question. So all of our webinars are available as videos on the SRA webpage. You have to log in as a member and then you can see all of the videos. I suspect this one will not be behind the membership wall because it's about the member, it's about the society. So we'll probably have this one right up front. They usually post in a day or two. I'll ask all the panelists, if you're willing to share your slides, please email them to me and we'll have them up there as PDFs at the same place where people can watch the video. So that would be great if you're willing. Next one is from Monty Cole, and it says, I've researched and have created training at the organizational level to protect children from sexual abuse. Is anyone working in this area? And what specialty group would fit this topic best? Any thoughts from anyone on the panel? It may be that the best ones are, resilience analysis that wasn't represented today, or risk and development. I don't know. So we might have to pass on that one. Let's see. The last one is from Sima Rastayesh. It says, Risk-based decision-making for operation and maintenance planning could be related to which groups? Anyone want to take that one? Risk-based decision-making for operation and maintenance planning.
Well, this is Zach again. I mean, certainly the risk-based decision-making, I think, fits with the decision analysis group. But again, it might touch in other places as well.
Yep.
Maintenance will certainly touch on infrastructure, so that is one example of a topic that crosses over several specialty groups. So that would apply for us too.
Great. We have a. Ooh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to point out, I think the last sentence is pretty broad. I would ask the person to possibly better define what he or she means by, can you repeat what it was? It was the last sentence being.
This is risk-based. Oh, so she's clarifying while you're talking, or it says in civil engineering. So,
in civil engineering. Okay. And all right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Good clarification. We have another question. This one's from Paul Schlosser. It says, I'm curious to know more about using videos for the student award candidates. Is there a strict limit on time, length of videos? And let's see, top candidates selected first, ? Some years we get a lot, some years not so many. So that's for DRSG, I believe. So
Is the question for DRSG or for?
Or from DRSG, I'm not sure. So for anyone that is, it's a good question, right? So for anybody that's accepting videos for student, from DRSG, sorry. From DRSG.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul, for the clarification.
Yeah, so I mean, we do videos, and we do have a limit on the time. We would like the video to be maximum 5 minutes because our members are taking the time to watch those videos and still fill the survey. So there's a score sheet that they fill, and then based on the scores, we select the final, the winner of the awards. So we would like to keep those at a 5 limit maximum. And for the selection of the top candidates, so the selection of the finalists, yes, you are right. So some years we get a lot and some years we don't. And for engineering infrastructure, we've had an increase for the last few years. So it's becoming more and more difficult to select finalists.
Great. Thank you. And Paul says thanks. I think that's it. We're out of questions and almost out of time. We'll give everybody 30 seconds back. I just wanted to remind everybody again that you can go to the SRA.org website to check out the upcoming World Congress, to check out all of these specialty groups, even a few that weren't able to present today. And thank you very, very much to all the panelists who were willing to take on this sort of last minute kind of approach of running through the whole group. So thank you guys very much, and thanks for bearing with me on the moderator side. And thanks everybody for doing this. We'll see you next month for the next webinar. Take care.
Great, thank you.
Bye everybody.
Thanks, bye.